Dr. Clarence, and welcome back to TV7 Live, where we get to give you all the hardest and top trending topics. The big question is, where is Comrade Geza? We see this image here showing, and it's captioned, is he? Let us talk about where was he. We're seeing also images of Comrade Geza during the liberation struggle. Imagine. On the internet, two days ago, we saw the Zimbabwe president in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, for the 38th African Union Ordinary Session of Heads of State under the theme Justice for Africans and People of African Descent. Then we see that the acting president at that time would be Kembo Mohadi, not VP Chiwenga. Why would it be Kembo Mohadi, not VP Chiwenga? It's a big question there. So we even see Kembo Mohadi making a speech where he is seemingly talking about Comrade Bombshell Geza. What would he be talking about then? At that time, President Cde is in Addis Ababa. Then following that, we see more war veterans continue to pour more support for Comrade Geza, backing him. From the look on this image, we can tell that Geza at this time would be in the nation of South Africa. This is a restaurant somewhere in South Africa. As we can see this Provision logo and the Jet Store logo. Then we see him with somebody who looks like him. It might be his son. Can they touch him in South Africa? I don't think so. I don't think Geza would be not wise enough to be hiding where these guys cannot touch him. So obviously, Comrade Geza is safe. Now, does this mean game over? Game over for who? For him or for the guys who are shaking because of Cyclone Bombshell Geza? From this, we then see more support from Geza. Touch him, they do touch him, and see what happens next. What would happen should they touch Geza?
Right. Let it be clear that this week we are going to do head on ne home side. Vakomana ku home side muri kushandiswa this week, not later than this week. We are going to do head on nemimi. Muri kushandiswa muchifamba nema AK47 nerimwe branch reCIO riri kushandiswa. Makatsvaga mudhara Geza makaenda kuBelgravia makamutsvaga. Makaenda kuAvondale futi makamutsvaga. Andi mazvinzwa. We are not scared of you. Ende mazita enyu tinawo ende nekwamunogara tikutsvaga pamunogara. This is head on, I'm telling you. We are not scared of you. Mufunga kuti mudhara Geza angatadze kuchengetedzwa munyika yake yaakarwira. Andi mazvinzwiza. Mufunga kuti angatadze kuchengetedzwa munyika yake yaakarwira ndiye akauya nenyika. Imi vakomana ku home side vangani venyu vakarwa hondo imimi. Moda kuurayira mudhara Geza nenyaya yeka 200 kamuri kupiwa ika. You are doing head on this week. I'm talking about this week. This week, I'm telling you, udzanai kumba kwenju kukuzivai ende masenti now. Andi mazvinzwiza. Ende vamwe venyu vamunoshanda nawo, they are against you. We are going to deal with you. Because chamakatanga muchaipedza ende munhu wenyu eMason Mnangagwa wewe. Ari kuenda, andi mazvinzwiza. Ari kuenda arisi kuzorwa mashure. Zvese zvamuri kuita zvese zvezve information yacho nemafambiro enyu ese. Vamwe vacho treat akutoziva pavanogara. We are going to deal with you, I'm telling you. And then this week, not next, this week. Wiki irora tikutanga. We are going to deal with you. Makaenda makamutsvaga mudhara kwese kuBelgravia. Makamutsvaga kwese kuna Chisipi tuko. ani maiko avo ndio kwese makamutsvaga muchimutsvaga mune ma AK47 kwenda kunotsvaga mbavha dziri kupa kuti mari diwe munyika kwenda kunotora mbavha kuti musunge makuda kunotsvaga munhu ari kurwira kuti vanhu vasunungurwe. Hamuna kana nepfungwa dzese kutakurira ma AK47 kwenda kunotsvaga munhu asina kana chaakaba kuonererwa nekuti mukupiwa tuma 200 itodo. We are going to deal with you. I'm telling you this my final.
That would be one message coming there in solidarity to Comrade Geza. Big up to Elizabeth Mavudzi watching us live, says Mwari Muchengetei pambere na Geza. So before this, we had seen more veterans backing up Comrade Geza. And what were they saying here?
The Gaza revolution is with us. It has landed. This is a two-pronged agenda. One, we want to restore dignity of our people. Two, we want distributive justice in this country. Zimbabwe is undergoing all these challenges. We are failing actually to representatives who decide not to represent those who voted for them once they are voted into power. We have a constitution in this country where we have one center of power. This is the greatest challenge which we face. One. It is the best of the appointing authority who happens to be the president. Then it means the clout of those vice presidents who are appointed is greatly diminished. They are more or less without portfolio. This is very important to understand. An appointed government official, there is nothing like voter power or voter sovereignty in this country. Because you cannot recall an elected representative as you see fit for failure to perform their functions. The voter only becomes necessary at the point of voting. And after that, the voter becomes irrelevant for the next coming 5 years. The elected representative has more allegiance to the party to which he belongs to than the voter who voted that person into office. So what are we saying? When your representatives have more faith in the party, but not in you, the voter. To make
big up to everybody who's watching us live right about now. Big up to Pilakashe Malamlela. Tindo, can you give me more on this post which you just made? Because I do know the guy. The place is how many streets from my street? It's 3 or 4 streets from my street. In Zengeza 1 in Chitungweza. Can you give me more details?
Smuggle them into national developmental policies. Now, when you have this kind of a scenario, then you know that this is not a participatory democracy. It's just a nominal liberal democracy, but it's not a participatory democracy because the sovereignty is not expressed at the grassroots level. This is one of the many problems that the Gaza revolution seeks to rectify in this country as a matter of emergency. Not only that are the main issues that bedevil our constitution. Look, in a country like Zimbabwe, we say the dangers of ethnocentric politicians, identity politicians, is far-reaching. We are a small country with 16 million people, but we have 2 vice presidents. Why? Is there any justification for that? Zimbabweans, ask yourselves. And why do we have two vice presidents? If you were the two vice presidents because of circumstances, then honestly, for 45 years, are you still not trusting each other? Zimbabwe should just be divided, split for the purposes of vice presidents. It should be divided into two. The eastern regions, which cover Mashonaland, the western regions, which cover Matabeleland. If we have a president from Mashonaland, automatically Mugabe became prime minister. When Mugabe became prime minister, naturally, and the logic would have assumed that Joshua Nkomo would become the natural second vice prime minister. But Mugabe, because he was very scared, of the presence, the proximity of Joshua Nkomo to him. So he wanted the late Vice President Simon Mzenda to act as a power buffer between him and the Joshua Nkomo. He effectively diluted the powers of the two vice presidents. But now, this is 45 years after attaining independence. This is costly to the taxpayer. Let's do away with two vice presidents. Let's do like what the Nigerians do. Because in Nigeria, religion is a sensitive matter. The North is generally an Islamic country, and the South is a Christian country. In Nigeria, when you have a Christian president, it's automatic that the vice president must come from the North, and he must be a Muslim. And if the president is a Muslim from the North, then the vice president automatically is a Christian from the South. Ndiko kurongeka ndozvinhu zvinoita kuti kungava inxabangoza ebantwini. We are being governed by amasela ezigilamkhuba. They don't understand what unites the people of this country. They can't take ideas on board. You see, in this country, these are the problems which we are facing is institutions of higher learning. They are now compromising their credibility and the legitimacy as institutions of higher learning. When they started to transact high degrees and qualifications to people of influence and the mighty in society. It's as good as vegetable vendors who transact their produce in the marketplace. This is the problem which we are having in our institutions of higher learning, and as a result of that, graduates from these institutions, they will not be able to secure the kind of employment they are expecting after graduation, because their qualifications will be degraded. This is very important, because this is very important. And when you have doctorates dzekuveza mpini, you have doctorates dzekufuraya madora nemufushwa, hakuna kupererwa kunopfuura ikoko. This is most serious. Failure to think outside the box. This is the reason why even our learned, so-called learned professors of economics, they can't think out of the box and can't think of alternative ways of raising taxes, revenue for the government. They now go down as far as taxing a goat, tsuro, ibhundla, lezinja. How can you be so cheap? This is because the tax base has been narrowed. You have destroyed the industry with your sterile policies, the revenue base has shrunk. You cannot even use your minerals to raise revenue for the government. This is a country where the destiny of the people has been made a menu for political power racketeers in our midst. People cannot inform the government, because if you criticize, then you are labeled a rebel. If you say something sensible, they will say you can't be by someone from outside. This is an insult to our collective intelligence as a people. They don't understand what it means. Being a war veteran it simply means participating in a war.
Enough respect to everybody who was watching us live right about now. Ian Makaza says, Munyangaza dai angoenda zvake Geza Zimbabwe ichene. Blessing Mbongeni says, Ndinoti moto kumoto. Thank God for serving our father Mr. Geza. Todao kudzoka kumba Joni rino pisa vedue. Step down Emerson. Peter Visani says, we are tired of Munangagwa and his matsotsi akita tambura nekuda kwabo. SK says the idea was to steal state money through Chivai Chigumba, and the idea was to steal state money through Chivai Chigumba. And so on. Big up to SK. Big up to Tindo. Big up to Elizabeth Mavudzi. Enough respect. All right, everybody who was watching us live, enough respect there. Enough respect. I'm going to sign out with that. And time will tell what happens next, following all this happening here. Big up, big up. Robert Wunda watching from Namibia. All right, before I sign out, we see this new statutory instrument that has been passed. SI 13 of 2005 government has gazetted new education regulations. What does this mean here? The new regulation. Some of the details we are seeing in this statutory instrument is that no child shall be barred from school for failing to pay school fees or not having a birth certificate. Schools to provide psychosocial support to pupils that fall pregnant. Pregnant pupils to be allowed to stay in school and finish their studies. Pupils are barred from entering staff living quarters. Then we see others listed here. Child of school-going age, equal opportunity to education, admission of children into government schools, pupils with disabilities, technology, homegrown school feeding program, sexual misconduct against pupils and among pupils, record to be kept of cases of sexual misconduct, employment of sexual offenders at schools, pregnancy of girl pupil, guidance and counseling, pupils entering staff living quarters, offices and bathrooms, disciplinary policy in schools, duty of school head regarding discipline, duty of parents and pupils regarding discipline, suspension and expulsion from school, notice to be given of serious indiscipline, payment of school fees and levies, repeals, So this is the new statutory instrument SI 13 of 2025. All right, enough respect to everybody who was watching us live right now. Garikain Kusa says, I salute you, comrades. Push it to the final Zimbabwe. All we want. Thanks for the updates, Doc. Thank you very much for that positive feedback. Peter Sibanda, afternoon. Robert Wunda, watching from Namibia. Lee K. Makaza, everybody who was watching us live. Dr. Clarence is the name. TV7 Live is the channel broadcasting live and direct from Zimbabwe, Africa. With that, I'm going to sign out. Big up to Peter Sibanda and everybody who was watching us live. Once again, gracias.